Today is truly a beautiful day in the world of Lego. And what's this? Oh man, a new video on my YouTube sub box about... Really? Haven't enough people done videos about Craig's Butthole Adventure 19? Like, I get it. The lore is a complete mess, the game runs at 30 frames per minute, and you jump with the select button. But I don't need YouTuber number, whatever number comes after 4 to tell me what's wrong with the game. And you know, that kind of applies to a lot of other games as well. YouTube game reviews are both a blessing and a curse. They can inform people about games they may want to learn more about, while still managing to be fun viewings for people who've already played them. It's fun to hear about others' opinions, or learn something new about a game you like. Unfortunately though, not all games get this treatment, cause some of them suck balls. And so they get all of their problems exposed to the world like a 14-year-old complaining about their life on Twitter. I mean, you gotta admit, sometimes it is more fun to hear about why a game is bad than why it's good. Personally speaking, the reason why my vocabulary is so wide is because I love insulting things. And explaining why a game is great is, well, kinda simple, unless if you're one of those people who gets enjoyment from making unnecessarily detailed and long reviews on children's games. On the other hand though, there's way more to talk about when it comes to bad games. It takes a lot more time to deconstruct a bad game and explain why something just doesn't work and makes the game less enjoyable. Because of this, negative game reviews tend to not only be longer, but also get more views than positive ones. Like, so long as you don't mess up your critiques or whatever, you can make a really exceptional video if the game's issues are that interesting to talk about. Of course, it does get tiresome to hear nothing but negativity. I mean, I kinda hate hearing people complain all the time. And that kinda brings us to an issue that rears its ugly head every now and then. You see, YouTube is all about that relevancy. And relevance plus negativity equals lots of...
All you ever do is complain. You never try to make things better.
I mean, you ever wonder why Twitter.com is so popular? Okay, I'll shut up about Twitter. When a new game comes out that's a freaking flop, you will hear about it. A lot. And I mean a lot. Like, nobody will ever shut up about it. To be fair, it is pretty funny pointing and laughing at the world's latest failure, but the thing about that is, it gets old really quick. There eventually comes a point where everything wrong for the game has been said and restated countless times. Nobody can add anything more to the conversation, yet dozens more keep parroting the exact same talking points. And today, I'm going to bring up a few of those examples. So, let's start with my list of games that should be illegal to talk about anymore. Now, I am treading a very fine line just mentioning these games, but shut up. I'm not going to go too deep into each of these. I haven't even played Enter the Dragonfly, but there are a couple things I'd like to address with these games. You've probably seen a review for at least one of these games, and let me tell you, they're the lowest hanging fruit possible. Crash Bandicoot the Wrath of Cortex is a really good example of this that people still talk about to this day. If you somehow haven't gotten this game rammed into your skull at this point, essentially it was Crash 4 before Crash 4. However, it was infamous for several problems. People took issues with the vehicle levels, the old bosses being regular enemies, and the game looking ugly at certain points. I just summed up every single review of this game in the span of 7 seconds. Are they valid criticisms? Yeah, but like, everyone else has said it before, and when somebody else makes a video about the game, they never stray too far from these few things. And considering just how many reviews there are for this game, it gets a little bit redundant after a while. And now, I did see one review that took time to focus on the good aspects of the game, which was pretty refreshing, but I think this game has been absolutely milked dry. Kinda like Sonic Forces. Something I need to stress specifically about this one is that I'm not defending it by any means. That applies to the other games as well. But like, Can you think about anything unique to say about it? In my opinion, Sonic gets a lot of undeserved crap, and Forces is such an easy target that discussions about this game are beyond boring and repetitive. And they all go after this stupid story for some reason. Like, I get it, they tried harder than usual to make this one of Sonic's grander stories, and it didn't work out that well, but who honestly cares anymore? Name one person who hasn't made a huge deal about Tails acting like a weakling, or Sonic acting completely normal after supposedly being tortured for months. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Herder Zavik, who's that? I mean, it's so easy to clown on this game at this point that a third grader could do it. I've seen so many people point out those two parts of the story that I honestly stopped being bothered by those issues. I think Forces is a whatever game. There's almost nothing original to say about it anymore, and I just feel completely apathetic towards it. You can repeat it over and over again, but don't expect to get a reaction out of me aside from, okay. Congratulations, Internet. You completely neutered my feelings about a game. And keep in mind, all of this is coming from the same guy who just did a review on Resident Evil 0, the game that's infamous for the hookshot, monkeys, and dropping junk on the floor. But at least that game isn't talked about to death, and I think that I probably at least accomplished something by discussing why those issues didn't bother me as much anymore, and going into more detail on the game than I see most people do. Did the video turn out well? That's primarily for the viewers to decide. Point is, I felt like there's more to say with a game like that than Sonic Forces. For a while, I thought about reviewing the game, but it either end up not being that much different from every other video about it, or it'd be kind of average because, like, I'm completely desensitized to the game now. And don't try to make a needlessly long analysis on it, because that'd be like going on a 3-week expedition inside of a kiddie pool. Oh, and also there's Spyro. I haven't actually played this one, and I don't plan on doing so. People just like to point out how this game is really buggy and that you can skip to the final boss from, like, the very beginning of the game. It's kind of funny when you first learn about it, but it gets old when you hear it for the 8th time. Also, there's that one part in the opening cutscene. If you somehow, by the grace of God himself, don't know what I'm talking about, then prepare yourself for the thing that takes the lowest effort to joke about. Those few seconds right there. Nobody ever skims over this. Everyone reacts the same way. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is pretty funny, but it's the perfect example of unoriginality. Anyway, I honestly feel like I was beginning to repeat myself there. Look, I understand that games need to be criticized and stuff. I don't think they're exempt from that. Plus, when a lot of people point out those problems, it really hammers it home to the developers, if they're actually listening, that is. But there's a certain point when I think everybody in the universe gets it, and there's nothing more you can say about it. Like I said, these games in particular are really easy to criticize, and it becomes so draining to hear about them over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Somewhat unrelated, but it reminds me about how in my Yokai Watch 3 video, I said that there was a part where you could do a side quest where you can choose between 2 yokai, but you could only get one of them per playthrough. And little did I know that saying that was the biggest mistake in my entire life.
I know what everyone's thinking right now. Why'd the video stop so abruptly? Well, for the main reason is I didn't want to. I didn't want to finish the video. And second off, it would have just been repetition after repetition after repetition. So I didn't want to deal with that. And also, he just kept complaining about people's subjective opinions. Oh, I mean, yeah, people just repeat the same things, but maybe they say it differently. That obviously wasn't taken into consideration. But yeah, this has been another comedy, and this is BZ the Arsonist signing out. Goodbye.